G'day folks, day 2 of the ketogenic series here. Matt from Melbourne Osteopathic Clinic, Docklands, bringing it to you. So I wanted to talk about why you might be interested in doing keto. And the 3 main points I mentioned in that first video was to reduce your body fat, reduce circulating inflammation, and help you with those afternoon fuzzies or your energy levels throughout the day. So point number 1, reducing body fat. Now, the ketogenic diet is basically that. It is using fat for energy. So it seems pretty obvious that to get your energy, you're going to require to have to burn those fat cells which we have in our gut and around our muscles and through our body there. So fat for energy is a really great way to obviously lose a bit of weight and lose a bit of circulating fat in the body as well. The other thing that it has an effect on is that it drops our blood sugar level. Now, as I talked about fluctuating blood sugar levels, if we have a high level of sugar in our blood, what we do inherently is take all that sugar and convert it to fat to store for later. And so that's a real simple way of increasing our body fat. And so if we're not doing that, or we don't have that process going on, it's assumed, and it's proven in the data, that we actually need to use our fat for energy. And so this is a great way to be able to use our body fat to burn and supply our muscles, our organs, etc. for energy there to keep us going throughout the day. The next thing it's going to do is reduce low levels of inflammation. Now, how this happens is we've got two types of fat in our body. We've got brown fat, which is really high in mitochondria and blood cells, and it's good fat basically. And then we've got the white fat, which is probably what we more associate with fat in the body. And our white fat is that stored fat, that excess sugar that we store in our periphery and around our organs, and it's a lot harder for our body to use, and so it's not that great. How we reduce our inflammation is twofold. The first one is by reducing our blood sugar levels. Now, high blood sugar levels is actually inflammatory, so we want to drop those levels down, but we also want to drop the amount of white fat cells that are circulating in our blood and increase our brown fat levels, our good fat, in our blood vessels, which will then help to drop that inflammatory markers in the vessels there. So think inflammation, think pain. So we want to try and drop that. And so ketogenics is a real simple way of doing that, because we're burning both our white fat and our brown fat. We're dropping our blood sugar levels, and we're helping to reduce the amount of inflammatory properties in our vessels and coherently around our joints, muscles, etc. And then finally, the third point is that 3:30itis, although that afternoon fatigue that we feel when we're reaching for the sugary snacks, we're reaching for those things that aren't that great for us to give us that pep up for the last bit of the workday. Now basically what this is due to is the fact that we'll have a fluctuation in our blood sugar levels. So throughout the day, when you have breakfast, your blood sugar levels will go up, and then you don't eat in the morning, then you get to lunch and they'll rise up again. And we hit that sort of point in the afternoon where our blood sugar levels drop and we feel like we need to increase them. So we'll eat a sugary snack. You might have a chocolate bar or something along those lines. And you get a short-term increase in your blood sugar levels, but it's not sustainable. So what we know is that our body burns sugar really, really quickly. So that's when you get those fluctuations. But when we're using fat for energy, it's a lot slower in terms of releases of energy, okay? And so you don't get those fluctuations throughout the day. It's more of a constant feed. And so if you're reaching for those high-fat snacks, the nuts, avocado, yogurt, these sorts of things, you're feeding the system, but you're not getting the sugar, so you're not going to have that dip off in your energy levels. So it's a really good way to keep consistent energy levels, and once you get used to it, you'll find you'll have a lot more energy in the afternoon. Not because your peaks are as high, but your lows clearly aren't as low in terms of your blood sugar levels. So look, if you've got any questions about that, be sure to drop an email in. There's some real practical advice coming up in the following emails, so keep an eye out over the next couple of days as we move further into the ketogenic series.